Hello, welcome back to Nigerian Legal Method, and this is our 7th lecture on Nigerian Legal Method. I am still your tutor, Mr. Bennett Iluka, and today we are looking at the methods of social control through the law. Okay, like we said in the introductory section of this course, law is a tool used to ensure coherence and coexistence in the society, because in the absence of law, there will be chaos and disorder. Why do we say so? Because in the course of our daily interactions with either our fellow human beings or legal entities that are recognized as human beings, such as companies, there are certain scenarios or events that could lead to this misunderstanding or disagreements, and the law comes in to ensure that each and every one of us is able to assess rights or responsibilities as deemed fit in line with the provisions of the agreement that we might have reached with one another. Okay, so law makes it possible for everybody to act in the way he or she is supposed to act. Okay, and in the absence of that, then people will just go about doing whatever they feel like doing, and the implication is that there won't be coherence in the society. Okay, so today we are looking at some of the methods of social control through law, how we can use the law to ensure social control. Okay, so why is it important to use the law to ensure social control? Like we have always been saying, why goodness is always preferred in society, there are certain people that engage in acts that are not only bad for a certain group of people, but the entire society at large, as for instance, terrorism and so on and so forth. Therefore, it is a fact that human beings cannot always be as good as we want them to be, or always meet certain standards in the society. That is why we must be able to create some form of control, some form of orderliness in the society through law as the tool for such a social control. Okay, so it is necessary that each and every one of us has his or her behaviors checkmated or at least controlled by law to avoid scenarios whereby we can push into or go into activities that can lead to anarchy and chaos in the society. Like, some of these outcomes are easily visible within our society. So the law comes in to ensure that they are limited, at least to the bare minimum, and if possible, eliminated, because that is the only way we can coexist. Okay, law, as we have always said, is the tool that must be used to bring in an enabling society, an accommodating society, a society for all, where everybody can exist coherently and together. Okay, it defines rights and where such rights end. Yes, of course, where your right ends is where another's begins. So don't feel that right is absolute, because it is not. And this is based on the Latin dictum ubi jus ubi remedium. Okay, law provides remedy for an injured person. So if you infringe on another person's right, then there will be remedy for that person, and the remedy in this case implies consequences on your side. Okay, so therefore there are many methods that can be used to enforce or to ensure social control through law, and that is what we are going to look at today. Okay, first is the penal technique. Okay, in Nigeria we have two main acts that govern criminal offenses or criminal law, which are the penal code for north and the criminal code for south. Okay, so once you hear penal technique, it deals with penalty for an action, and penalty in this case implies that the act is likely, or in most cases, criminal in nature. Okay, the penal technique operates mainly within the domain of criminal law. Before anyone can be tried and punished of a crime, the person must have been found blameworthy. The person must have been found to have done something that is against the law, and then that act is immaterial whether or not the person fulfilled it. Even intention alone is considered eligible by Section 4 of the CC. Intention to do is considered as doing, and it becomes immaterial whether or not you actually completed that thing you conceived in your mind. Are you getting the point? Okay, so the penal code is exercisable in cases where the states have particularly prohibited certain acts as being injurious to the society at large or individuals in particular. Okay, so punishment for any criminal offense is considered justifiable because it ensures decency and security in the society. So for everyone that commits murder, there are provisions as to punishment for such crime. And the need for that is to ensure that there is decency and security. Imagine if you don't punish people when they murder people. If you don't punish people for burglary and theft and all kinds of illegal acts, then everybody could just wake up and do whatever he or she wills, and you could imagine such a society. So penal code comes in to ensure that all the prescribed crimes in the society have attached punishment, and the essence is to avert a situation where people can just ride on each other as they will, while also discouraging the performance of that act by another individual in the present or near future. So when someone commits murder and the person is given life sentence or death sentence, others that are aware of such outcome of such sentence will likely ensure that they don't engage in such similar behavior, that they don't commit that crime in the future. So that is why we say that law is a tool for social control, and one of the techniques it uses to do that is penal technique, by prescribing punishments for actions that are considered injurious to the society at large or individuals in particular. Okay, the second is the grievance-remedial technique, and this technique is featured mainly in civil cases, and it has to do with a situation whereby the law tries to remedy the wrong suffered by an individual as a result of the act of another person by assuaging the grievance of the wrong party through award of deserved remedies and compensations. So you go into an agreement with another party as to a given contract of what you are expected to deliver and the amount of money you are expected to get. You have done your own part of the obligation by delivering the materials required of you, but the person is not paying you. The person keeps on telling you stories today, tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So how do you go about it? That is where the grievance-remedial technique comes in. The law tries to put you back in your original position to ensure that that which you both agree to be binding on both of you becomes fulfilled, becomes practicalized. So once you have done your part, it is expected that he should do his own part by paying you your money. And if peradventure he doesn't do his own part, then the grievance-remedial technique comes into play by enforcing that party to pay you your money. Okay, so to better understand what we are trying to say here, JSC Achike, that is Justice of the Supreme Court, as in the case of Moma versus Valve Petroleum Incorporated, said that the law frowns on a party that appropriates in one breath and reprobates in another. So a party that has agreed to do something then goes back to another thing, the law frowns at such a party, and grievance-remedial technique ensures that the party is forced to go back and do that which has been agreed between the parties in that contract, between the parties in that agreement. Okay, so we have the private arrangement technique. This is a situation whereby the law affords all of us the liberty to organize and arrange our private life the way we want it. However, this must be done in line with the provisions of the law for such a particular scenario. Take the instance of marriage, for instance. Marriage is considered to be a union between one man and one woman who have agreed to live with each other forever without the interference of another party. Okay. However, when you are getting married, whether it is under statute, whether it is customary marriage or registry, no matter the form of marriage you are envisioning to contract in Nigeria, there are certain laws that guide it. There are laws for customary marriage, there are laws for statute marriage, and so on and so forth. So whatever the form of marriage you want to contract must be done in line with the provision of that law or regulation. So although you are at liberty to decide who you want to marry, when you want to marry, and so on and so forth, every contract of that nature has to be done in line with the provision of the law. Okay, another is will. You are also at will, at liberty to determine whom should inherit your property when you are gone. However, there are regulations, there are laws, there are procedures that guide how a will is drafted and become actionable. So for the will to be actionable intra vivos, that is after you are gone, then you must ensure that inter vivos, while you are still alive, you follow the laid down principles. Okay, so we now have the administrative regulatory technique. This mainly deals with government bodies, and this technique is designed to regulate and monitor some wholesome activities that are of public interest and benefits which might not be reasonably left in the hands of some people or individuals at their own discretion. There are certain actions that companies take, there are certain products and services that companies offer which can actually affect all of us. We are all human beings. We consume different kinds of products and services on a daily, and it's imperative that the actions of these companies are monitored to ensure they undertake their business in line with the provisions of the law while also protecting our own lives. Are you getting the point? So when these companies do not comply with these administrative regulatory techniques or these laws that guide their production processes, then their license could be stripped off. Okay, so good examples are NAFDAC, which regulates food and drug products, Standard Organization of Nigeria, which is all about ensuring standard operational procedures in the Nigerian industries, and then CAC in line of registration of companies, and so on and so forth. So all these bodies have set rules and regulations that people who fall within their provisions will have to follow. Okay, if you want to start manufacturing biscuits tomorrow, then you have to ensure that your company are set in line with the standards defined by NAFDAC. They also have to come there to approve your company and state that your company is in line with their provisions. Okay, so this technique ensures that whatever product or service that are being manufactured in Nigeria are those that would actually not put the society at risk of whatever you could start to imagine of, poisoning and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have the conferral of social benefit technique. This deals mainly with social institutions which the government operates with the intention of ensuring quality of life for its citizens. Okay, the government has a duty to ensure that it takes care of those that voted them into power, the citizens that they are there representing. Okay, so a good example is free education or educational system at a subsidized rate, which ensures that people are able to learn how to read and write, and then, of course, critically reason. It is through this critical reasoning that they will be able to differentiate good from bad and then avoid bad at the end of the day. Okay, we also have the health facilities or health provisions being offered by government to ensure that people can deliver their children at ease and safe environment. Okay, to ensure that we can access the health products we need to live a better life. The essence of all this is that when the government has more people, then they have more tax revenues, because the higher the population, the higher the tax revenues. Are you getting the point? So all these conferral benefits for the society have their positive implications on overall sustainability of the government and the society at large. Okay, so we have the constitutive technique. It is concerned with fostering of social cooperation and cohesion by facilitating and encouraging the pooling of resources and skills together among those that share common ideas and goals of how the society could become profitable. Okay, so all these social clubs, registered memberships, and so on and so forth. You take the Rotary Club International, for instance, who are into different kinds of charitable activities in the society. These are men of great ideas. They come together for overall social benefit. And the constitutive technique can, at some point, accord them legal personality. They become recognized. They become an entity on their own, capable of being sued or suing. That is why they can now afford to have corporate accounts where people can donate and help their overall operations. Are you getting the point? Okay, so the constitutive technique is more of a system used to organize and bring together people of great ideas to form a unique part of the society, a unique social order that encourages overall benefits, overall sustainability of the society through their different acts, through their different services which they provide at will. Are you getting the point? So like we have said, we gave the instance of Rotary Club of Nigeria or Rotary Club International. Then you have UNICEF and so on and so forth. All these are constitutive measures by non-governmental body to assist the government towards providing a society that is viable for every one of us. Okay. Then lastly, we have the fiscal technique. Fiscal, as the name implies, is all about money, and in this case, this technique is essentially about taxation, and it is the means by which the government raises the money it uses to finance its spending and attain other socio-economic goals. Okay, this technique implies that every taxable individual is expected to pay his or her tax and as at when due, because it is through this taxation that the government will be able to generate the money they need to construct our roads, the money they need to provide better health care, and so on and so forth. Okay. On the same note, the government can also make use of this technique to direct behaviors toward a certain pact. For instance, they can impose higher tariffs on certain products like cigarettes in order to discourage smoking, because with higher tariffs, then the implication would be that the cost of smoking will be higher because the cost of cigarettes will be higher, and that could discourage people from actually smoking. Okay, so today we have looked at the different methods of social control through law, and then we considered penal code, which is more attributed to the criminal setting as it relates to the provisions of the law on what punishment an individual that commits a crime that is injurious to the society should be able to take or should be awarded for such a crime. We have the grievance-remedial method, where the law intends to reinstitute a grieved party back to his or her former position by forcing the party that wronged the person to do that obligation which is expected of him by virtue of the contract they have. Okay, then we have the private arrangement, which allows us to decide on our own how we want our life to be arranged or to be. However, such decisions must be made in line with the provisions of the law, such as the case of marriage and the will. We have administrative regulatory technique, which deals more with the certain activities that should not be left in the hands of individuals at will. Okay, whereby the government comes in through its institutions to set standards that must be followed for entities, both individuals or corporations, in line with whatever the person is offering. Okay. We have the conferral or social benefit techniques, which deals with those remedial measures inputted by the government to ensure that we can access that basic needs, that basic facilities we need to become better person and build a better society. We have the constitutive technique, which deals with this group of people that come together with their ideas of how to make the society better, and then in the process they could become recognized by the law and accorded a legal entity as if they were to be a human being. Then we have the fiscal technique, which deals with taxation of every due individuals, and it is through this technique that the government is able to assess the money they use to fund socio-economic developments and other spendings. Okay, so thank you so much for being part of today's lecture, and we hope to see you in our subsequent lecture. If you have any question, then do feel free to comment in the comment section, and be assured that all your questions will be answered. Okay, we also hope that you will be able to like our videos and share them with your friends, as it will be impactful in many ways, so that people can learn things related to law and business and be in better position to manage and control their lives. Once more, I am still your tutor, Mr. Bennett Iloka, and I am glad to have you here. See you very soon.